The age of information is here. The fantasy news must flow.
Time to be a professional goober. Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today I forgot to turn on my highlight light, but don't worry, it's now on and we're looking good. We're gonna go ahead and kick off the Fantasy News with an outstanding little cover reveal that I am oh so hyped to talk about. The Age of Ash, brought to us by Daniel Abraham. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's one of the co-authors of the extremely well-received Expanse series. He's also received praise from people like George R.R. Martin and Brandon Sanderson. This new fantasy epic will be put out by Orbit Books, and god damn, I'm excited for that. Definitely going to be on my TBR because, yeah, I like Daniel Abraham's work in the Expanse series. I'm very excited for this. And maybe possibly spoiler warning for the Age of Ash. Ash, when he first went on his Pokemon journey, was 11 or 12, but I get why you'd want a full fantasy epic to Yep. It's not about Ash Ketchum. Why would it call it Age of Ash? It's about, oh, like from a fire. Well, that sounds less interesting. There's no Pikachu. Well, they can't have Pikachu. Alright, yeah, whatever. Alright, yeah, okay. Yeah. Love you too. Correction! I cannot confirm or deny whether or not Ash Ketchum will be in this book. Okay, we gotta cover the biggest piece of news of the day by far immediately, because I know people are frothing at the mouth to understand or hear what I have to say about this. Understand what I have to, whatever. You know what I mean? Let's get into it. An animated Lord of the Rings adaptation is officially in the works, coming to us from New Line, distributed by Warner Brothers. It does not have Peter Jackson attached, though this article in the news release implies it is still connected to the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, hence why the same studios are there. Excitingly, this will take place 250 years before the Lord of the Rings. It's called The War of the Rohirrim, and to quote the article, this anime pick will expand the untold story behind the fortress of Helm's Deep, delving into the life and bloodshed of the times of Hammerhand. Overall, the movie is a companion piece to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and yes, is set roughly 250 years beforehand. Immediately excited, and with stuff that's going to be kind of exploring different avenues within the Lord of the Rings, this seems like one of the safest bets you could have. Tying yourself to the Lord of the Rings movies, so it'll be extremely familiar to fans, and in addition to that, going ahead and animating it instead of having live action just allows the creative minds to just fall back to what Peter Jackson created without having to physically recreate the sets that do not exist anymore, largely. And for those of you who are concerned about who is actually going to be bringing the style of the visual to life, it's the same people behind Blade Runner Black Lotus and Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. So, however you feel about those animations, you might feel about this one. I had mixed feelings at first, but the more I've thought about this, the more I'm really okay with this being done. If it's horrible, I feel like it's gonna be something that's gonna be easy to sweep under the rug and just look back on and be like, huh, yeah, that was fine. But if it's great, it could open up a doorway, a gateway to an entire future of animated stories being told to expand Tolkien's vision connected to the original trilogy. Very cool. Are you more excited about this than Amazon's live action? Is it not as much? Let me know, because this is definitely going to be an interesting point of discussion for fans. But that was a lot. That was an emotionally taxing, big piece of news I feel like a lot of people are going to need time to fully process. So I'll just rock you back, lull you in to a familiar, fun story, specifically about a cover reveal called Pieces of 8, the second book in the Guardian of the Empire series by Peter Hartog. I really like the use of color in this cover. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at that. That is gorgeous. I'm a sucker for blues and covers that do world building, and I feel like both things, like the usage of color and blue, I guess, and world building are accomplished here. Oh, and the sounds of construction are starting outside. Wonderful. How table made, how chair make? I don't know. So curious. How do I sedate the curiosity building in my body. $14.99 for a whole year of Curiosity Stream. That is how Curiosity Stream is the best bang for your buck sponsor I have had the privilege of having on the channel. I have a high bar for who I let sponsor my channel. Curiosity Stream, no doubt, earned a spot. Amazing content, educational, worth your time. Stop rewatching Friends. I know they just had their reunion. It's exciting. Who cares? Go learn about like Rome, space, how dams are made, cars, how this table got made probably. There's a lot of stuff there. Thousands of award-winning nonfiction pieces of entertainment for you to better yourself as an adult or get your kids all smartified. If you're an idiot like me, guess what? You can make your kids smarter for less than the cost of most streaming services a month for an entire year of content. Go do it. Click that link in the description. All you're either gonna do is go to Curiosity Stream or maybe see a shirtless picture of me. Who knows what I put there? The only way to find out is to give it a little click. Back to the video. And guess what? We got our first look. Wow, that made a louder snap sound than I thought it would. We got our first set photos from the Dungeons & Dragons adaptation, and all it really confirms is they are going for classic high fantasy vibes, and that's what I want to see from them. I want to look at it and go, yeah, that's a D&D campaign I would play with my friends when I was younger and just getting into it. If this is really successful, sure, get into some of the weird things you can do with D&D, but it's smart and safe to go with a classic D&D adventure and explore what you can do with humor and meta storytelling in that way first, so that audiences can adjust and see how it's going to be received before you do anything too crazy. If this is successful, and they're gonna do more D&D stuff, I want them to get weird. I want them to get real weird. I also just love this picture of what looks clearly like a villain just standing by a van. I don't know why, but that's really funny to me. And to my fellow Stephen King fans out there, Jake Gyllenhaal has been offered the lead role in a Salem's Lot adaptation. And that's a big old yepadooskies to me. One of my favorite Stephen King books being mushy-meshied with one of my favorite current working actors. I don't see where you can go wrong. Great casting's a good way to start. Oh, I'm remembering Dark Tower adaptation. That had great casting and it went so bad. So bad. I want to reemphasize though, he's been offered. This is not confirmed that he's joining or anything like that. And occasionally studios put out like, oh, we offered it, just to like hype up fans so that the actor feels more pressure to go ahead and sign on. Not exactly the cleanest tactic, but here, I hope it works. But going into things over at Netflix that generally have been going right, the Castlevania show has been loved by fans for multiple seasons, and it looks like it's getting a spin-off set in the French Revolution, specifically going to be occurring in 1792, an all-new series in the Castlevania universe starring Richter Belmont. That's a fascinating time to do something like this, so I'm in immediately. And yes, I have started watching Castlevania and hope to be doing reviews here on the channel before too long. Don't worry, One Piece fans, I already heard you typing. Tomorrow, I will be bringing you my review of the next bit of One Piece. Calm yourself down, please. But I love you though, don't worry. Thanks for encouraging me to keep going. But let's go ahead and jump back to the Expanse series. Remember how I mentioned that earlier? This is a callback. I'm clever and smart, and this was not brought about by random happenstance, and I didn't connect the two before this very moment. But James A. Corey, the account that is actually both But James A. Corey, the account that's actually both out. But James A. Corey, the But James A. Corey, the account that's actually both But James A. Corey, the account that's actually both I keep wanting to say f***ing actors. But James A. Corey, the account that's actually both authors together, tweeted out, "Hey, here's that thing I said we'd be sharing this week. Do you like things? Here's the thing. For those of you who haven't seen the cover art, here's the awesome new Daniel Deck cover for Memories Legion. Click to embiggen. Let's embiggen." Essentially, this is going to be a collection of short fiction that takes place within the Expanse universe, and this will be released early next year, specifically in March. That's my YouTube singing career. I will now stop. We had a tsunami of trailers drop over the week, a lot of them video game related, and I'm gonna go ahead and sprint on through the best I can. First up, we had Elden Ring. I'm not gonna say too much here because I know most of you already know about it, and there's like discussion, deep dive videos all over the place. So just put in Elden Ring on YouTube, you'll get your fix, but I am excited for this. It looks very good. I can't wait to be so frustrated. I'm excited for emotional pain. Speaking of emotional pain, a trailer also dropped for a Guardians of the Galaxy video game, and it already looks 5 to 10 years outdated. Put more money in here, God! But something that looked really good, we had a cinematic trailer drop for Redfall, and it looks to be a apocalypse survival type game with monsters and stuff going on. I like this. I see me and my friends getting very angry at each other as we play, trying to survive, and I keep screwing up and getting them killed. I'm bad at games. It's described as Manhattan is under siege from vampires after the sun has been blocked out. Tantalizingly terrifying. But in let's just do cocaine and shoot stuff type video games, we had Shadow Warrior 3, and the trailer for this was literally just so yeah, that looked really fun. I like those games. And then in the worst of them all, in my opinion, news, we had a trailer drop for Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. And it actually looked like whatever. It's a cinematic trailer. I can't tell too much from this. I just love that Guardians of the Galaxy video game was like confident enough to drop like gameplay that looked like it did, but the Avatar game is dropping this cinematic and it looks fine, but who cares? This is the most forgettable sci-fi universe like ever, and there's no good faith still for this franchise. Like the movies have been put, who is here for, tell me if I'm wrong. If you are pumped for this, leave a thumbs up in the comments. I cannot wait to see how many people are excited, but if you do not care, leave a thumbs down. I have an opinion, there'll be a lot more of those. But in the final piece of fantasy news we're gonna cover here today, we had our first images drop for Jurassic World Dominion. Apparently taking place 4 years after the last movie. It looks pretty good, and just make it flat out horror. Make it a dark, horrifying movie like in the vein of Alien, and I will be very happy with it. Just make me on the edge of my seat, terrified. And yeah, you'll have accomplished what you want for it. It doesn't even necessarily need to be R. I think it would improve if it was, but if it's just a very good PG-13 horror, which does exist, I'm really excited. Like in the vein of the first Jurassic Park, which the entire like third act of is a horror film. I feel like the last 2 Jurassic Park movies have been more like action adventure with like little snippets of horror, but they haven't achieved, the horror elements have just been rather weak to me, or schlocky, and I just make it good horror and I'll be here for it. But this has been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here, and join the Fantasy News channel in the Discord server and post stories you'd like to see covered next week. I really appreciate y'all, and I hope you're having a wonderful one.